This is a Resun, R-E-S-U-N, Chinese fish feeder, which I bought off eBay. I just wanted to see what it was like and how it worked. And basically speaking, you can set it for 12 or 24 hour mode, and once or twice a day it'll simply rotate this rather noisily, one complete revolution, and in doing so it drops a portion of fish food. Now the way it meters the fish food out is that this cover comes off, you'd fill this with fish food, and there's an adjustable flap here that you can open to varying degrees, and it basically, by gravity, as it rotates, some of the food will fall into this enclosed area here, and then as it continues to rotate, I'll pull that out, then the food will level off, no more food will be able to actually pour into it as it rotates up, but then what had dropped in already is dropped out into the tank. So it's a very simple mechanism. Not really an awful lot to go wrong with it, I suppose. Quite footery to put together. So inside this unit here, it runs on 2 AA batteries. There is a cover, I just took it off. And a wee switch at the back for 12-hour mode or 24-hour mode. And a button for testing it. And inside, for the rotation, I originally thought when I read the specification of it that it was just going to vend food once every 12 hours, and that it just rotated very slowly, almost as if maybe it was just a standard quartz clock mechanism with the drum attached onto the hour hand shaft. But it's not, it's different. Inside there's a small circuit board, and there's a motor, a rather noisy gearbox, and at the back there's a wheel with a little stem sticking out that hits a micro switch. The control PCB has a microcontroller on it. It's got a crystal and the 2 decoupling capacitors. It's got a slide switch that is only active in one position. It just pulls a pin to the opposite polarity, and a button which just shunts to positive when it's pressed. Then there's one transistor, and the transistor is actually in parallel with this switch, so that when you trigger it, the transistor drives the cam off the switch, and if I hold this switch now, it'll stop the cam, but it's actually waiting for the cam to get round to that. And in reality, the motor only is driven by the transistor just for enough time to get off the micro switch. If I press that again, and then I hold the micro switch in, that's where the transistor cuts out. So it gets well clear of the micro switch, and then it just continues in its merry way under pure mechanical control until it hits the switch again. So it's very simple. The standby current is in the region of 250 microamps, that's 1/4 milliamp, and is slightly higher when you've got the switch in the 12-hour mode, because obviously it's then pulling down a pull-up resistor continually. So yeah, very simple. Not really much to it, but then there doesn't really need to be. So quite an interesting gadget.